Hi, welcome to Sin 1700. We are at Face the Music Festival and we're joined by Anthony Fantano. I literally got sent how to say your name, phonetically, and then it messed with my mind, and now I'm going to say whatever I want.
I'm terrible with names too, so
Yeah.
it's not really anything I could hold against anybody.
The best thing about Tim Williams is that no one ever, you don't have to say how to spell your name ever. So.
We live in a hard world.
So let's talk about your show, Anthony Fantano versus the Internets.
Yeah.
So that's been going pretty well for you. You're touring Australia at the moment. So
yeah.
Tell us a bit about the show.
It's like just internet craziness sort of come into real life is essentially sort of what is happening. I am talking about sort of the way music and meme culture sort of intersect. I was doing some really horrible, deep lyrical analyses of this really bad rap song on a Korn album, which I'm going to spare you guys at Face the Music. Okay. I've been told I should scrap that segment for the more professional crowd, which I think is probably probably good to recommend. So and I'm going to be talking about sort of music streaming services and. How, in my opinion, they're sort of hurting music discovery more than helping.
Okay. Sounds very interesting.
How did you go about pushing your show into a long-form format rather than
in terms of speaking engagement?
Yeah.
It was something that, like most of the things that I do, I had to come up with on the fly and in a hurry. Because the person who booked me down here for the second time now, because I get people through the door, I guess, and he does a great job as well, Ashley of Higher Plains, came up to me and said, hey, have you ever thought of doing some speaking engagements? And I had done a couple, but only to sort of just kind of give a background of what I do, nothing beyond that. I wasn't coming up with concepts and segments and that sort of thing, or sort of topics to discuss. And then I said, sure. And I said, how long are these things supposed to last? And then we sort of had a discussion about that, and I agreed to it. He booked 2 shows, and in a couple days they completely sold out. And then I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, I'm just going to set up 2 more. And I said, okay, set up 2 more. And then those sold out in a couple more weeks. And then I was like, okay, now I need to think of what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so I think I had booked one local to me just to sort of do a bit of a test run. And, it was basically just kind of a matter of figuring out things that my audience liked to watch me talk about on my own YouTube channel, but I just couldn't simply leave it at that. There had to be a comedic element to it too, because a lot of my fans have a big sense of humor, and plus I feel like me being a big fan of comedy myself, it would be sort of remiss of me to sort of just completely neglect this opportunity to have all of these people in this one space where they're so nerdy about music, they're so dorky about music. It's the only place you can go and just drop a Smash Mouth joke and everybody just goes insane because everybody gets it.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that anywhere else, but most people are gonna be like, well, I kind of like Smash Mouth, or what is a Smash Mouth? That's old. It's I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
It's there's so many people who follow me who sort of get that and follow that as kind of a meme on the internet. And again, it's you wouldn't be able to kind of apply that type of humor anywhere else. So, I do a deep lyrical analysis of All Star, on stage, and everybody's just laughing at every moment. Or, I go on stage as my alternate persona, Cal Chuchesta, and I do a couple rap songs or whatever, and people go crazy for that.
Yeah.
So, there is definitely an element of serious discussion to it, but, and I'm going to, again, sort of spare you guys that at Face the Music just to look semi-professional, or hey, you should maybe take me seriously, maybe, please. But there are elements of comedy to it too. It's just kind of a matter of making sure that comes out to an hour, I guess, which is really not so much the problem as just going overtime for me personally. And then we sort of do Q&A after, because a lot of people have been watching me for a long time, and for whatever reason, they sort of have these burning questions that they've just been waiting to ask me. And, those always come out in there, whether it be something what do I think about the current state of the industry, or something as ridiculous as someone was asking me during my Brisbane show about my toenails.
That one off,
yeah, which led to him, he kissed my foot, and everybody in the crowd just erupted into just pure insanity. And it was, yeah, it was kind of weird. It was weird. It was weird.
So this is the second time you've been to Australia, yeah? So can we ask, who sparks your interest in Australia in the music scene here?
As far as music, I mean, some of my favorite records this year have come out from the Drones and King Gizzard. You know, those are probably my two favorite Australian records this year.
Awesome.
But I mean, I have a pretty big list on my phone right now of artists that I need to check out sort of as I'm on my way home, like Camp Cope and San Cisco and older acts like the Meanies, you know, some of the older punk acts that you guys have over here. So people are just recommending like bands to me all the time, every day, and I need to like give them all a listen as soon as I get home. I heard another group last night, Broadway Sounds.
Yeah, beautiful.
They were really good.
Yeah.
Just like really funky, really dancey,
awesome.
like pulling all of these foreign rhythmic elements into this, you know, sort of more Western pop music sound. I thought it was really good. So, I mean, you know, there are a lot of music acts that I'm coming away from having to sort of go deeper into, like once I get back from all this and I kind of sit down in my office and kind of go through all of it.
So how does the music scene in Australia differ from the American climate? Have you found?
You guys have a lot more variety over here. You guys appreciate local culture. Your local media is a lot more supportive of what's going on locally. I mean, of course, things like sort of slip through the cracks, and there are some people who are, you know, never going to be played on Triple J. But, you know, at least like those stations are making an effort to play artists who are from your own backyard. And also, you're just kind of you're marching to the beat of your own drum. You know, you guys are sort of moving at your own pace down here. You have your own sounds down here, your own trends down here, and you're sort of just like listening to things at a different speed. You're not as quick to just kind of hop on a trend and just sort of throw everything else in the trash, like sort of in the way that we do in the U.S. You know, you guys are still clubbing to the B-52s.
Yeah.
We don't do that. Like a full-time DJ would be like, or, you know, a club owner would just like kick that guy out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you'd only hear that being played at maybe like a hipster bar where somebody's like playing it ironically or something. You know, it's like over in the U.S. it's like we sort of like poo-poo stuff that's old, but, you know, simultaneously we champion these bands that sound exactly like Dinosaur Jr. You know, so instead of just like enjoying the thing that's being copied, we have to be onto something because it's like allegedly new, even though originality is just an illusion of the, I guess, unexperienced consumer, which is like a really pretentious thing to say, but it's true. So I like the fact that you guys are kind of just doing your own thing down here, and it's just a different vibe. It's way more chill, and everybody's just like way more friendly too, you know, and it's like a little less pretentious as well, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Australians are really supportive of their own, like people in their own backyard and that, and it's like our local festivals, you know, it is unearthed artists coming about and just like everyone getting around that at these festivals, which is cool. So do you have a standout album of 2016?
As far as like my favorite, I mean, it's probably coming down to like new Death Grips, new Swans, new Bowie. You know, Moo Bowie's really fantastic. The new Danny Brown's really amazing. There are probably 5 or 6 others that are like really sticking out to me as well. New Angel Olsen's really fantastic. What else have I been coming back to? I'm trying to think of what else has really been sticking with me. The new Caro Caro Bonito. I keep listening to that. It's like a really fun pop album that has a bit of a J-pop element to it, a little bit of a kind of an indie pop element to it, a bit of a synth pop element to it. There's a lot of different things about it that sort of make it really quirky and fun and playful. So there's a lot of records I keep coming back to over the course of the year, but those are definitely some of my favorites.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Want to give a shout out to your most underrated release of 2016?
So what's the most underrated release of 2016? Oh, damn, my phone's downstairs. I'd have to like look through my phone.
Yeah.
What's so underrated? What's underrated? I think the new Swain album is really underrated. It was so underrated that even when I first heard it, I was like, this isn't such a big deal. And they were formerly this band from the Netherlands, like this kind of metallic hardcore band called This Routine Is Hell. And they totally changed their name to this other band name. And I don't know, it's got a bit of a grunge vibe to it. And originally, I'm not into a whole lot of bands that try to just like, you know, redo that sound, but with so much less like songwriting talent than, I mean, when you're talking about like, hey, we're going to do pretty much what Nirvana did, like at what isn't going to pale in comparison, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's like they're pulling from that, but they're also sort of bringing that together with like a lot of the metal and a lot of the hardcore that was on their previous records. And I don't know, it's sort of like taking the really dreary, depressing vibes of grunge, but sort of bringing it to like a really aggressive, fed up conclusion with like a lot of the punk and a lot of the metal elements that sort of work into their music. The Long Dark Blue, I think, is the name of the record, the new Swain album. Underrated as hell.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for
having
Thanks,
me.
Anthony.